is cross media, like mixing chocolate and peanut butter. I am packed. I pose this question to you. I have a much harder understanding of the idea of motherhood than I do the concept of dragons. Though I do wonder why in all fantasy stories, everyone talks the same language. Why does everyone know the same language? Also, space stories. Why does everyone know the same language? This is baffling to me. I will take this and analyze it. Analyzation done. Maybe it's just stupid. Today's story is called Children Love Their Cotton Candy by Montsho Shelby. The children loved their cotton candy, as all children did. Though Karuna watched the young ones with a beaming smile, there was a hidden sadness behind those ancient eyes. The children couldn't know the pain she lived with, but they felt it, like a poisonous radiation ebbing away some of the joy of their youth without her saying a thing. None of the multitudes of her children's children wanted to come to her little island, even though she converted huge portions of it to amusement park attractions. It felt dead, it felt hollow, and soulless no matter what she did. She watched one of her great-great-great-grandchildren whipping around in the go-kart track. She had barely seen him around, and he appeared to be having the time of his life. Her other grandchildren seemed a shade bored and uninterested. Karuna idly wondered if this child was unaffected because he had yet to meet her. The most ironic part of it all is that she loved children more than anything else in the world, but with pain as deep as hers, her sadness was an infection. "He absolutely adores it here," said one of Karuna's great-great-grandchildren. She was now a full adult, and she understood her grandmother's pain enough to know what she might say to alleviate her melancholy. Karuna smiled with trepidation and cautious optimism. "Do you really think so?" Karuna's voice was as elegant as a sad song, and she couldn't shake a slight Indian accent even though she had been in America nearly 50 years. Her dalliance in the States were merely for a change of venue. Her native land of India held too many painful memories of all the children she had lost. Maybe one day she would return, but not until she could fill that place with new happy memories to add counterweight to the old ones. Jaffe has never been to an amusement park. He could not be happier here. The two leaned over a railing, overlooking the vast emptiness of the lake on the one side, with Jaffe and the fabricated look of the boardwalk promenade on the other. "Thank you for coming. You know how much I enjoy this," Karuna said with a smile. "It's no imposition, Dadima," she said in their native tongue. Some of the younger generations watered down the language and may call her Dadi. They were losing touch with India with each passing generation, though Karuna hardly cared. She knew the nature of children was to forget all that came before. Over the horizon came the annoying buzz of helicopters, which signaled the end of the visit, a time which she deeply dreaded more than most things. Some of the children abandoned their rides like the Hilo was an angel of salvation, heaven sent, to extract them from the horrors of Babylon. Karuna nearly cried. Her grandchild Sari held her hand before the pain washed over her fully, and she kept it together. Jaffe brought a smile to her face. He didn't seem as if he wanted to leave. He nearly had to be dragged out of the go-kart by his father. "You see?" said Sari. Karuna smiled. She nearly asked if she could keep the child, but she caught herself. Even she knew that was over the line. Sari kissed Karuna on the cheek. "Same time next month, Dadima?" Karuna nodded with a smile that waned like a dying fire. She watched her distant relatives pile into the helicopter and waved to them as the vehicle wandered off into the fading light. Karuna watched the thing until it completely disappeared, tempted to take to the air and chase alongside of them. Her island was more a huge rig that was miles off the lakeshore. As the dragon flew, she was only moments away from the city of Chicago. Her domain was warded by a vizier, a breed of human nearly more reclusive than a dragon countless years ago. A person could only ever find her if they knew to look for it. Otherwise, one may fly over her place 100 times and never look down. When the helo was gone, the lights of the boardwalk suddenly went out like a chain reaction. The roller coaster slowed, then went inert to live again only in the presence of children. Karuna somberly entered her mansion. The decor harkened back to the elaborate patterns and colors one may find in an Arabian palace, but interwoven with modern style. Her home hinted at the past, but did not dwell there. All the rooms were open and the ceiling soared higher than a human hand might reach. She designed her home quite deliberately that there was no piece of it she couldn't reach when she chose to stretch out to her full glory. She walked slowly up the spiral staircase, almost with the cadence of ritual, like Sisyphus pushing the boulder. When she arrived to this huge second level, there was a dome of glass that hung overhead, though there were walls of gears that almost made a maze of this place. There were quite a few ways that she could transform her house if she so desired, and this room served as the brain for all those functions. Inside of the glass dome, bathed in moonlight, was an egg the size of a full-grown man sitting atop a nest of hay. The egg cracked open. Karuna ran to the shell and looked inside. Her heart was as optimistic as it was skeptical. Maybe this was the one. Maybe she had finally done it. She heard faint and shallow breaths lurking amongst the metal cogs. She dared to hope.